Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Magali von Blottnitz. I'm joining you from Cape Town, and it's a real honor for me and a real special moment to be back in the Symphonia space. I'm a former member of the Symphonia team. Some of you will know me. And I'm very grateful to have been invited by the School Leadership Forum team to help co-facilitate this session today. So I think we have about 50, just a bit more than 50 people so far in the room. We'll just keep an eye and see if there's more people coming. But lovely to have this audience and to have all of you present today for our conversation. It's going to be quite a special session today, quite a different one, I think, compared to what we used to at the School Leadership Forum. So it's quite exciting for me to be co-facilitating this session. The topic, as you will have seen, is leading transformative dialogue across difference, and how to model productive dialogue in diverse, equitable, and inclusive communities while creating a sense of connection and belonging. So it's quite an important topic in South Africa in these days, obviously a very hot topic at times. And what's going to be very special today is that we're going to really try to keep the session interactive, experiential in a way, so that you all really don't just come and listen, but you really get to experience what we mean by transformative dialogue and what we mean by engaging across difference. So we have in the room, obviously, the SLF team, Selwyn and Nonhlanhla in the background. And then I'm joined by a very, very special guest today, Marlene Ogawa. And what I'm going to do, I know it's not exactly the usual procedure, but we've decided to tweak the procedure a bit for today, because I need to really start by briefly introducing Marlene to you, because we want to create immediately as we start, create a sense of connectedness in the room, so that everyone feels that experience of belonging and connection in the room. So we're going to start with that. And after that, we'll kind of go back into all the introductory steps that we need to do before we hear Marlene fully. Quickly, a few words about Marlene. She's quite it's quite an honor to have her on board, really. Marlene, you might want to, let me see, are you showing your face? I can't see your face now on the, because I'm sharing my screen. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So Marlene is the country director of the Synagogues Institute for South Africa. I'm sure she'll say a few words about the Synagogues Institute. It's a global organization, not-profit organization, that works in the area of social change in many different sectors. And what's special, I think, for us in the Symphonia space, welcoming Marlene, is to really appreciate how the values and the methods and the approaches of the Synagogues Institute are so aligned to the ones that Symphonia promotes. So it's really about relationship, it's about connectedness, it's about bridging leadership, and I think she will explain what they mean by bridging leadership. It's about transformative work that starts with the inner work to move into the collaborative and the systems change. So you will see that there's a lot of resonance between the Symphonia language and the language that Marlene is going to talk to us about. But obviously what she wants to talk to us now specifically about is going to be diverse, equitable, and inclusive communities, specifically, obviously, around schools and education. So this is really just a quick introduction to Marlene, and I don't want to make it too long because I think you need to hear her and experience her rather than hear me talk about her. So Marlene, let me hand over to you, and I'll let you introduce our initial question, and then we'll hand back over to Selwyn after that.
Thanks so much, Magali, and it's such an honor for me to be here. And so Magali mentioned a little bit about my professional, but personally, I come from a small town called Standerton, and Standerton is in Mpumalanga, and attended school there and actually went to study teaching and then went back and taught at my alma mater with my principal and my teachers. So a deep journey within the education space. And then I left education and began to work with leaders across different spectra. And a big part of it has been within leaders, within school, in the schooling space. But the intention of our work has always been around transformative leadership and what that looks like. Whether you are a nurse, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a trader, a farmer, whatever in the space, if you are responsible for people's health, for children's education, for food security in your country, how do you show up in that? And then another piece of our work has also been around transformative leadership and how we need to transform both individually and collectively. So as the screen is up and as there's the, just to pay attention to leading transformative dialogues. Magali, you can go back to the first slide. Leading transformative dialogue across differences. The gift of South Africa is that we are so diverse. When we see each other, when we speak to each other, we interact from a place of not necessarily always knowing our stories. And dialogue is really around beginning to get to know each other. And that is what we're going to model today. Part of getting to know each other, but the other part is also how to have productive dialogues. And productive dialogues, and the most productive of all, is when we do it from an appreciative place, a place of storytelling, telling our story and our journey. So as we start, also to appreciate that you have come to the space, that you are committing this time. So the invitation is for you to participate within this experience in the way that you best would like to. So we are going to put you into breakout rooms. And the first question that we are going to ask you to share with your partner that you will be with in your pair is, what is your name? And what is the meaning of your name? What's the story behind your name? So we're going to model it quickly. With Selwyn, I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about your name and anything you want to share around it.
I love talking about my name, Marlene. So my name is Selwyn Daniel Page, and Selwyn means friend of the court, and Daniel is God is my judge. So that's my two names, and I love using both of them at times, but Selwyn is more the one I use often.
Mm-hmm. And who gave you that name, Selwyn?
My mom and dad gave me that name, and I'm very proud to own that name from both of them.
Do you know why they gave you something about the court and being about judge? Do you have any idea why those particular names? What were they?
You know what? I've never asked that question, but if I think about it now, I can't come up with any reason why they gave me those names. I've never asked them. But perhaps that's a good opportunity to go and have a conversation with my mom, who's still alive, and ask her, why did you give me those names?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, and that question generally creates curiosity for us, if we know, if we don't know, or then sharing of information as well. So what we are going to do is we're going to put you into the breakout rooms, and you are with your partner going to share 2 minutes each on average. Your name and the meaning of your name, where it comes from, and a little bit of probing questions. But the invitation is to listen to the person and allow them to complete their story and then to shift. So your responsibility is also to keep time for each other and to also listen to each other. And so with that, we invite you into the breakout rooms, into pairs. Selwyn, if you're ready. So you click
Ready?
join.
The breakout rooms are opening now.
Okay. So as your screen pop up, please go into your breakout room and enjoy. And just to think about, so I need to also put it out there that technology is always fun and games when you really want it to work. So I know there were challenges with the breakout rooms, and some people didn't pitch in the breakout rooms, and we were shifting people around. But for those who had the experience of sharing your name and the meaning of your name, how does that feel? What does it make you think about? Anyone can unmute or type into the chat your experience.
Marlene, I think what was interesting for me is because I love history. So just the history behind the names was interesting for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariana. Absolutely. Our names are part of our history, our heritage, our culture, and it's always linked to our ancestors or our forefathers because it comes from somewhere or an experience that our parents had, and then they name us, right? But there's always a story. And what that does is it reconnects us to our roots and our culture. And so that's why it's so important for anyone. And yes, some of us are not fully attached to our names or has no cultural context to it, but there's always, like someone was saying, oh, I need to go and ask my mom, right? It activates curiosity for you both as the person who's asking the question, but also for the person who's speaking about their journey and their story and how they came to their name. So thank you very much for that, Mariana. 1 second, if there's anyone else who wants to add to that. How does it feel to talk to a stranger? Gary, are you unmuting?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I found it curious how it's something which I certainly haven't thought about much at all, really. But I had a perspective on it, which was very different from Hannele's perspective. Yeah, so it was curious how just something which I may think is not meaningful is potentially very meaningful for somebody else.
Yes. Thank you. And we receive how the other person sees it, and the other person receives, Hannele receives how you see it, Gary, right? And maybe not as attached or maybe not full understanding. And for her, it is. Yes, absolutely.
I hope I got her name right after all of that.
That's so important. That's the other thing in terms of honoring people's names and how it is said and making the effort and naming when we struggle. Nokolo, would you like to say something?
Hello.
Yes, hello. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. Please go ahead.
In the previous session, talking about the name and the culture and or the background behind your name was a very gave me some sense of identity. Yeah, it gave me some sense of identity to know who you are and why you were named like that. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. And the culture and the tradition and the tribal praise singing that comes with your name, right? So the whole history behind it is important. Yes.
Yes.
You want to say your name?
I beg yours?
Yeah, do you want to say your name so we can hear you say your name?
Noxolo.
Noxolo. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And Gary, Hanali said sharp, so I think how you said her name was good. Okay, so thank you very much for that. So names are about history, tradition, and imagine if we go back and ask a colleague, ask one of the kids in the school, what's your name and what's the meaning of your name? If they don't know, it gives them curiosity to find out. If they do know, then they can share with you. And that's also how we get to know each other, our stories and where we come from. So thank you for that. Over back to you, Magali.